האם זה באמת סגולה בדוקה? הסגולה ללמוד בזה?
Erev Tov and good evening, everyone. We're in the Zera Shimshon, starting the third book of the Torah, sefer Vayikra. Very exciting. We're doing, of course, Parsha's Vayikra, and we're going to be looking at Os Aleph, section number 1, on Parsha's Vayikra. Before we do, we're going to take a look at two psukim. One pasuk, appropriately enough, is right from the beginning of Parsha's Vayikra, and the other pasuk is from Sefer Mishlei. And we'll see how the Zera Shimshon puts all that together right when we start in the first paragraph. Okay, Parak Aleph, Pasuk Aleph, Sefer Vayikra. Vayikra el Moshe, and he called to Moshe. The he here is, of course, Hashem. Hashem called to Moshe. Vayadaber Hashem elov, and Hashem spoke to him, Me ohel moed lemor, from the tent of meeting, saying. So that's the first pasuk in Parshas Vayikra. Now let's listen to a pasuk in Sefer Mishlei. This is Parak Chaf, pasuk Tes Vav. Yesh zohav v'rov peninim. There is gold and there are many pearls. Uchli yakar sifsei da'as, and a precious vessel are lips of knowledge. So it's that pasuk is going to require some explanation, and that's what the Zera Shimshon is going to do for us, and how it connects to the first pasuk in Vayikra will, of course, require some further explanation. Let's get right into the piece, Parshas Vayikra Os Aleph. Medrash Rabbah, it states in the Medrash Rabbah, al pasuk, on the pasuk Vayikra el Moshe. That's the pasuk we just read, the first pasuk, and he called to Moshe. Yesh zoha v'rov penimim. So the Medrash Rabbah on the pasuk, our first pasuk in Vayikra, brings down the pasuk from Mishlei about gold and the pearls, and the Medrash says as follows: Hakol heviu nidvosan lamishkan zohav. Everyone brought their golden donations to the Mishkan. Hadohu dichsiv, as it is written. Vizos hatruma, and this is the donation. Back in Parshas Truma, we were taught about how Hashem specified the types of donations that the Jewish people should bring for the Mishkan, and one of them was Zohav, one of them was gold. So people, of course, brought all the gold that was needed. V'rov peninim, and many pearls. Zo nidvosan shel nesiim. This is a reference to the donation of the Nesiim, of the tribal princes, who, as we learned last week, brought the stones of the ephod and the precious stones of the ephod and the precious stones of the Choshen. They brought, the tribal princes brought those stones, and that's what's alluded to in the words Rav Penimim, many pearls. Uchali yakar sifsei das. What about the last half of the pasuk, which states that lips of knowledge are a precious vessel? Lefi shehoyusadato shel Moshe aguma olav. Because Moshe's knowledge, when Moshe's actually his feelings were very depressed. Moshe was depressed for the following reason. Omar, he said, Hakol heviu nidvosan la Mishkan. Everyone has brought their donations to the Mishkan. Va'ani lo hevesi. And I didn't bring a donation. Omar lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem said to Moshe, Chayecha, by your life, shediburcha chaviv olai, your words are precious to me, yoser min hakol, more than all of the donations that were brought for the Mishkan. Shemikulam lo kara hadibor ela Moshe. Because from all of the people, all of Bnei Yisrael who brought donations, Hashem did not call specifically to any one of them except for Moshe. Hadohu dichsiv, as it is written, Vayikra el Moshe, and Hashem called to Moshe. So we see here in this piece, in this opening piece from the Medrash Rabbah, we see that the pasuk in Mishlei, which talks about the gold and the precious stones being brought, but then makes the somewhat cryptic statement about lips of wisdom being a precious vessel, that the Medrash is interpreting that pasuk in Mishlei to refer to an episode that happened between Moshe and Hashem, where Moshe was very sad that everyone brought donations and he didn't bring a donation to the Mishkan. And Hashem said to him, your precious gift, your precious vessel, so to speak, that you donated was your sifsei das, your lips of wisdom. That's what you donated, and that's more important than all of the other donations. Your words from your lips of wisdom, your wise words, are more important to me and more beloved to me than all of the gifts that were brought by everyone else. And how did Hashem show that? Well, that's the connection to the first pasuk in our Parsha, where Hashem speaks specifically to Moshe from the Ohel Moed, and that singling out of Moshe is to indicate that he is supremely beloved to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Let's see what the Zera Shimshon has to say about this. Next paragraph. Koshe, there is a difficulty. Mahu shediborcha chaviv alai yoser min hakol. What does the statement in the Medrash Rabbah mean where Hashem says to Moshe, your words are more precious to me, more than all of the donations? Shenamar, and then it quotes a pasuk, Vayikra el Moshe, that Hashem called to Moshe. Zera Shimshon says, Adarabah. It seems just the opposite based on that pasuk. Kan hayahadibor shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Here in the pasuk, it's Hashem talking to Moshe. It's the word of Hashem, Shemedaberi Moshe, that is being spoken with Moshe. So the Zera Shimshon asks, in the Medrash Rabbah, it tells us that Hashem is telling Moshe about how precious his words are to Hashem. But then it quotes a pasuk that talks about Hashem speaking to Moshe as opposed to Moshe speaking to Hashem. So the obvious question is, shouldn't the pasuk that was brought as a supporting text have included words that Moshe spoke to Hashem, so that it could illustrate how Moshe's wonderful words of wisdom were beloved to Hashem? But that's not what happened. It quoted a pasuk that describes Hashem speaking to Moshe. What about Moshe's words? Where are Moshe's words full of wisdom? So that's the question. And in order to answer that question, top of the next column, the Zera Shimshon is going to bring a second Medrash Rabbah, a second statement of the Medrash Rabbah. Ve'omrinan b'Medrash, and we say in the Medrash, al pasuk, on another pasuk from Mishlei, notzer te'ena yochal pirya. A pasuk in Mishlei states, the person who guards a fig tree will eat of its fruit. And the Medrash takes that pasuk and connects it to Moshe Rabbeinu. Lefishen nosan Moshe nafsho al hamishkan, because Moshe gave his soul. That means he gave his complete and total focus and energy. He was moser nefesh to the nth degree. He gave of everything he could to the project of constructing the Mishkan. Leharos lechol chachmei lev v'hanoshim, to show and to instruct to all of the wise of heart, to the men and the women, shelo yitu, that they shouldn't make a mistake, mima shetziva HaKadosh Baruch Hu, from what Hashem commanded in terms of the design and the building of the Mishkan. L'koch nikra al shmo. Therefore, the entire Mishkan, the entire project of building the Mishkan is called after Moshe's name. Shenemar, as a pasuk says in Bamidbar, Vayehi biyom kalos Moshe, and it was on the day that Moshe completed the building of the Mishkan. And the Zera Shimshon takes it for granted that we understand how striking that pasuk is, because of course, the entire Bnei Yisrael, all of the people were involved in donating to the Mishkan, and many, many, many people were involved in the design and the fabrication of all the different articles and the kalim, the vessels and the curtains and the hangings, and all of the different components of the Mishkan. There were so many people involved, and yet the pasuk that's quoted here says it was when Moshe finished the building of the Mishkan. So it's all attributed to Moshe. V'chein b'chol dibor v'dibor. And so too with every statement that Hashem made about the construction of the Mishkan, Shenemar, as it says, Ka'asher tziva Hashem es Moshe, as Hashem commanded to Moshe. So Moshe is given complete credit on following all of the instructions of Hashem and doing all of the things to set up, to build and establish the Mishkan, even though so many other people were involved. And we see that from the pasuk in Mishlei. Now we understand, Notzer Te'ena, the one who guards the fig tree. Moshe was, so to speak, the guardian of the entire Mishkan project. To use a modern phrase, the Mishkan was his baby. That was his baby. Yochel Pirya, he will eat from the fruit, meaning Moshe was given credit for the entire Mishkan project because of his tremendous selflessness and devotion and commitment to it. And what a specific example is given? The example that's given in this medrash is that Moshe went around constantly to all of the people that were involved, telling them and showing them and instructing them exactly what to do to make 100% sure that everything was done fully according to the instructions that he received from Hashem. Next paragraph. Vizohi kavanas hamedrash. And now this is the intention of the first medrash. Shahadibor she'asa Moshe, that the speaking that Moshe did in Kol Baalei HaMalacha with all of the people involved in the work of the Mishkan, Chaviv leHakadosh Baruch Hu mikulam. That was more beloved to Hashem than all of the donations that were given. V'hatam, and what's the reason that Moshe going and speaking to everyone and instructing them and painstakingly showing them how to do what needed to get done for the Mishkan? What's the reason that that's so beloved to Hashem? Ki godol hame'aseh yoser min ha'oseh. That's a quote from a Gemara in Baba Basra, which says that greater is the one who gets others involved than the actions of those that actually do it. So the Gemara over there teaches that a person, and the example from over there, a person who goes around and motivates and inspires others to give tzedakah, his or her action in doing so and speaking to people and motivating them and inspiring them is greater than any individual's act of actually giving tzedakah. So the people who give tzedakah, of course, that's a beautiful, wonderful mitzvah and a great merit comes to them, but the person who organizes the whole tzedakah campaign and goes around and talks to everyone, inspires them and meets with people to give tzedakah and convinces them to do so, that's considered even greater. And that's what Moshe did here. Umadad lo mida keneged mida, and Hashem rewarded Moshe in a mida keneged mida way, measure for measure. Shenisyached lo levado hadibor, that Moshe was singled out specifically by the words of Hashem. They came specifically to him. Toch hamishkan, from the midst of the Mishkan she'osu, that everyone made. The Zera Shimshon is choosing his words very carefully here, and he's articulating the following idea. So many people, as we said, first of all of Klal Yisrael was involved in donating to the Mishkan, and then so many people were involved in building the Mishkan. And once the Mishkan was up, the voice of Hashem came out of that Mishkan that all of the people were involved in, and it came specifically to Moshe. Kedichsiv, as the pasuk says, me'ohel moed lemor. The first pasuk in the Parsha could have just said Hashem spoke to Moshe and moved on, but it said Hashem spoke to Moshe from the Ohel Moed, saying, So the Zera Shimshon is showing us the Ohel Moed is specifically mentioned to teach us this lesson that Moshe was getting credit for the whole Mishkan, and Hashem showed that by speaking to Moshe directly from the Mishkan that was the result of so many people's contributions and labors. The Ode, and another indication of this, Lamor, is the word saying. Mashma Lamor la'acherim. Chazal teach us that when a pasuk ends with the word Lamor, it often means that whatever was said to the person, in this case Moshe, should be said to others as well. V'hu simon l'zchus shelo, and this is a sign, this indicates to us exactly what Moshe's merit was. Why did Moshe merit that Hashem should speak directly to him from the Ohel Moed after all of the construction was completed? Because Moshe went around talking to others, making sure that everyone was donating, making sure that all the work was done properly and appropriately and exactly according to Hashem's specifications. And because Moshe said all of the things that he needed to say, that is why he received the merit of Hashem singling out him to receive the message from the completed Mishkan. And that goes all the way back to the original idea that the Medrash started with, that the Zera Shimshon brought in the beginning from the Medrash Rabbah about Moshe's sifsei das, his wise lips, which ultimately we see were more precious and more appreciated and beloved to Hashem than all of the other gifts and actions that took place. So even though this is a short piece in the Zera Shimshon, such a powerful lesson when we think about the opportunities that we might have. Each and every one of us might have opportunities where we can say, you know what, instead of just giving myself, or instead of just doing something myself, let me go and involve other people. It's the involvement of other people, inspiring them, motivating them, being a role model for them, that brings us this added zchus that the Zera Shimshon has taught us about in this piece. Yasher Koch for joining us in learning this piece in the Zera Shimshon this week on Parshas Vayikra, and God willing, we look forward to learning Zera Shimshon together again next week.